Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Sorted, Hire the Terrans, written by Sir Wendro. If you are interested in the story, the original is linked in the description. Welcome to Crew Matches. I am your chatbot Chatty. You have selected High Zelvian as your interface language. If this is correct, please state continue. If it is not, please state your preferred interface language now. Drahama shuddered reflexively. Chatbots in Galactic Standard were always too, cheerful, too open, too fake-friendly. She ran a claw through her quills to settle them. Continue. The screen flickered as it refreshed, and rounded letters of G Standard replaced with the comforting angular glyphs of a native Zelvian. Thank you for your selection, honored customer, as we would like to ensure the best possible match for your crewing requirements. We beseech you to provide us answers to a few short questions. May we have some small measure of your time? Better, much better. The little avatar on the screen even replicated the right body motions to convey respect. It was all still fake, of course, as the VI wasn't actually alive. But, as the saying went, the intent of the actor, not the final result, is what was most important. While the VI was irksome, Drahama couldn't fault the programmer for wanting to try. You may continue. For brevity, I ask that the formalities be dropped. Please address me as merchant addresses a merchant. Understood, valued customer. Firstly, is an AI acceptable for your crew role? Negative. This ship does not have the processing substrate required. A virtual intelligence would not be suitable either. I hear and understand. What crew role or roles are you looking to fill? I need an R3 or above rated engineer, preferably experienced with slip drives manufactured by Squallion Other Space. I additionally need a galley hand, a navigation officer, and 30 laborer technicians. I hear and understand. Kindly tell me about the on-board working conditions, so that I may filter my list of candidates. Very well. The ship as a whole runs with a gaseous nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere, with roughly 80-20 split. Temperature varies by section and module, depending on cargo. In general, the temperatures can vary from 274 to 320. Forgive the interruption, if you please. May I please ask which temperature scale you are defining this? By the burrows of color, Drahama's quills, which had been slowly rising up as her frustration grew, suddenly raised to the full defensive posture. Talking to a VI was actually somehow infinitely more frustrating than talking to a living being. Even talking to a Reggie, when their flowery, overwrought prose was more tolerable. This time, the Zelvian didn't bother to settle her quills. She was alone in the captain's quarters, and it wasn't like the VI would care after all. All measurements are in Galactic Standard, the ones those Terrans call the System Interstellar. Thank you, valued customer. Please, may I ask you to continue to list your vessel data? Drahama grumbled. Why couldn't the damned VI just read the data of the ship's database? Oh yes, the Data Security Act. Yet another of the Ploth's inane Joint Bureau of Data Transmission and Communication Wavelengths decrees. Honestly, trading in Ploth's space became less and less pleasant every time. She was getting to the point where she would rather pull out her ear cools than have to sit through another update briefing. No, thank you, she replied sarcastically. Temperature range from 270 to 320. Pressures from 80,000 to 150,000. The engineer can set temperature and pressure as they please. The galley is set to 300 temperature units and the pressure of 100,000. Technicians will be provided with appropriate gear to work across the full range. Please, dear customer, is the entire vessel gas-filled? Yes. So no aquatics. May I inquire as to the humidity? Standard low. Species needing humid air must provide own respirator gear. Gravity is set to 0.7, but may be adjusted for cargo. Mag boots are standard in ship's uniforms and exo-assists are available. Thank you for your information, honored customer. If it pleases you, please review the records of our available crew. They are represented in recommended order. If you require further filtering, please but ask. About time. Oh, filter out any species that can only tolerate dextroamino foods, and any that lack a sense of sight. The list was still some thousands long, and the Reclaimer War had left thousands disposed in surfeit of space-qualified individuals. Using the expression Anthony had once taught her, it was a sad but true fact that a lot of people desperately in need of employment by the Zelvian merchant fleet were simply not cut out for it. It was going to take hours to pick out candidates and read their psyche vals. Later, with quills oiled and scented, Drahama lazed in her nest in her crew harem to discuss the potential new hires. They had already been talking and arguing for hours, with the egg-setting males being the most outspoken. The females, not to be outdone, had been the loudest, however. I don't think that we can have our clothes. They smell awful. That's discrimination. That's true. No one but the clothes can stand the smell. We have this amazing technology called deodorant. Its use is mandated, much as you seem to forget. Still, though, but Mercer's spiky beard, look at this one. Hey, open. Really? Yeah, hang on. A hologram of a massive four-armed Oban floated to the center of the room. The quills of all the gathered Zelvians rustled in appreciation of the musculature on display. Very impressive specimen. What position are you thinking? All of them. Accompanied by a quill wave of crest to hoof, it was clear that this one of Drahama's harem was entertaining some thoughts that would definitely draw the ire of Interstellar Department of Sentient Resources. A wave of answering amusement and mocking disgust quill displays rippled around the nest. I don't agree. But what qualifications does Drahama check the biodata? She possess? Oh, none. They're only qualified for intrasystem work, but nothing. Quill's head, still thinking with your genitals. But thinking with my genitals is how we made this egg I'm sitting on, oh, Captain. True, but also disgusting. Another harem member, a female, chimed in. I have a Rithi with an R2 level in slip drives. No experience on our type, but it is best qualification to pay ratio I've seen. Are we speaking suspiciously cheap? Maybe. I'll send it to you now. They continued for hours, with candidates rejected, shortlisted, scrutinized, and put on the final list. The following ship daybreak, after morning mating, the final 10 candidates for officers' positions were reviewed. So the Zalvium Deshem is our best candidate for navigation? Drahama asked her first mate. Yes, Captain. 45 long-haul flights with no navigational errors. Commanded Osmium starburst for war heroism and psych reports that fit in well with the harem. Request standard scale 3 pay. Accepted. Now what about galley hand? Still undecided, Captain. And labor technicians? About that. The quills in the first mate's crest parted slightly, betraying her anxiety about what she was to say. Out with it. Well, I know that the Anthony incident might be a bit fresh, but we thought that some Terrans might be the best. I see. And why, my beloved, are you anxious to say so? The first mate, Barilla, smoothed out the quills that had betrayed her. Well, you see. Yeah, first mate. Out with it. Because of how Anthony left the ship, we thought that increasing the number of Terrans might not be a good idea. I mean, they make up nearly 40% of the crew already, which is almost the same as the number of Zelvians, and if more Terrans and Zelvians fall into that kind of misunderstanding, then it might disrupt the harems and damage the pact bonding between the humans and the kin on board, as well as create a tense atmosphere for the other crew species and... Stop and breathe. Relax. Let's smooth your quills, my love. You've got them all worked up. Drahama lovingly and gently helped her first mate set her quills back in place, then continued brushing Barilla's down to keep her calm and relaxed. Barilla was a great XO, calm and composed in a crisis, equal parts stern and caring to those under command, as well as wonderful mother to the hatchlings they shared. Her one Achilles heel was her aversion to embarrassing personal moments. What happened with Anthony was unfortunate, said Drahama. An understandable but regrettable result of differences in culture, species, and norms. With the guidebooks for both Terran Federation and Zalvian Parliament updated, I don't think we need to worry too much about the incident being repeated. But my love... Barilla, shush. I'm not embarrassed or ashamed, well, not excessively so, about what happened. I thought Anthony was intimating he wanted to be a part of the harem. I thought it would be interesting for us to invite him in. Everything after that was, what was it? A comedy of errors? Errors, a comedy of errors. Are you sure? I thought it was errors, as in a comedy for the ages. Errors, as in a comedy caused by mistakes and misunderstandings. Well, anyway, it was a mishap, and it was for the best that he left. But I don't think either of us should feel ashamed. I bet he'll think twice before addressing a Zelvian captain as my gorgeous porcupine centaur again, though. The pair laughed, and a giggle and a clatter of quills ran through the harem members who'd gathered around when they'd heard the topic being broached. My harem, my officers, have you realized how much the Terrans have affected us? We've adopted parts of their speech and thinking, their fearlessness, to an extent, their boldness. I think having Terrans aboard has been a boon to us all on a cultural level, and an economic one, with the way they work. Damn straight. They work hard and play hard, and get her done, all over this tin can, chirped the Direma, the communications officer. Stop taking the piss with it, replied Drahama. But considering the work we do and the cargo we haul, I want them. They can tolerate the full range of temperatures and pressures we license to run at with no gear, better than the Rithi. They're stronger and faster in ship standard gravity than anyone except for the Oben. They're tough, heal almost as quickly as we do because of their metal ability to scar up, and they've got almost as much endurance as me in a mating rut. Another clatter of amusement rolled around the bridge. They pack bond in themselves like a harem and with other groups almost as strongly. They got what mental resilience for the long haul, and they make all of us happier. And their petitions really know how to get even me looking my best. You're still as beautiful as when I met you, purred Barella from inside Drahama's arms. The first mate's quills were quivering slightly. They sighed. I know it's still mating season, so please remember to take your suppressants after morning mating. Clear heads on shift, please. And a double dose for you, Barella. Barella headed over to the bridge drink dispenser, and Julie took her second dose of medicine, her quills settling once more as it took effect. Drahama continued, Anyway, as I was saying, Terrans are okay with me, and I promise not to try and mate with one again. Or at least, not for a while. Another clatter. You know what? Sod it. Get a human galley hand as well. Just, not a British or American subspecies one. End of story. I would just quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barkey, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Lord Azrakul, and Arcadian.